the home where the head of state, the head of government, or other senior officials have official residence is known as an official residence. The house, sometimes a castle or fortress used for centuries by kings or emperors, is frequently a significant aspect of the history of a nation. Due to their continued use, access to these structures may be restricted, but even if you can just view the exterior, they are still worth seeing. Nine famous presidential residences. 9. Koninklijk Paleis Amsterdam. Queen Beatrix has access to 4 palaces in the Netherlands, including the Koninklijk Paleis, Royal Palace. It is situated in the heart of Amsterdam on the western side of Dam Square. The palace was constructed as a city hall in the 17th century Dutch Golden Age and afterwards served as King Louis Napoleon's and the Dutch royal house's royal residence. 8. Hofburg Imperial Palace. The official house of the President of Austria is the Hofburg Imperial Palace, which is situated in Vienna. It served as the Habsburg family's primary winter home, while Schönbrunn Palace served as their favorite summer home. It served as the home of the kings and emperors of the Holy Roman Empire from 1438 to 1583 and from 1612 to 1806, and then the Emperor of Austria until 1918. 7. Tokyo Imperial Palace. The Imperial Palace in Tokyo, which is a sizable park-like area, serves as the Emperor of Japan's primary residence. The palace grounds were worth slightly more than all of the real estate in the state of California in the 1980s, during the height of the Japanese real estate bubble. Unless the imperial family makes a public appearance on January 2nd and December 23rd, the inner palace gardens and buildings are off limits to the general public. 6. Palacio Real. The King of Spain's official house is the Palacio Real, Royal Palace, in Madrid, while King Juan Carlos currently stays in the nearby, smaller Palacio de la Zarzuela. The Moors initially occupied the location in the 10th century when they erected a defensive fort. Between 1738 and 1755, the royal palace was constructed, and King Carlos III moved in 1764. Buckingham Palace. Queen Elizabeth II's primary residence is Buckingham Palace in London, which belongs to the British government and is not the monarch's personal property. The changing of the guard, an important ceremony and popular tourist attraction, takes place in the forecourt of Buckingham Palace. The guard changes every morning at 11:30 a.m. between May and July. The guard switches every other day throughout the rest of the year, provided the weather permits. Grand Palace. When Siam's capital was transferred from Thonburi to Bangkok in 1782, work on the Grand Palace officially began. Up until the unexpected passing of King Ananda Mahadol in 1946, the palace was the home of the Thai kings. Following his death, his brother King Bhumibol Adulyadej relocated permanently to the Chitralada Palace. However, the Grand Palace continues to serve as the official residence and is frequently utilized for royal events. 3. Dolmabahce Palace. One of Istanbul's most significant historical sites is the Dolmabahce Palace. The palace is well recognized as the location of Mustafa Kemal Ataturk's death in 1938, reflecting the life of the edifice throughout the final years of the Ottoman Empire. The palace guarantees you a culturally inspired journey for many years and is close to Istanbul's well-known tourist destinations, including Taksim, Besiktas, and Kabataş. 2. White House. The official residence and workplace of the President of the United States is the White House in Washington, D.C. John Adams, the first president to utilize it, had it constructed between 1792 and 1800. The White House is now only open to groups of 10 or more, and visits must be scheduled up to 6 months in advance through your member of Congress or the U.S. ambassador for your nation. This is because visiting the White House has grown more difficult after the 9/11 attacks. The current White House complex is made up of the Executive Residence, the West Wing, the East Wing, the Eisenhower Executive Office Building, formerly the State Department, now housing the offices for the President's staff and the Vice President, and Blair House, a guest house. The ground floor, state floor, second floor, third floor, and a 2-story basement make up the 6 stories that make up the executive residence. The building is a piece of the President's Park and a National Heritage Site owned by the National Park Service. One, Moscow Kremlin. A stunning architectural achievement is the Moscow Kremlin. Its imposing walls and towers, cathedrals with golden domes, and historic palaces are perched high above the Moscow River on the Borovitsky Hill. It occupies the entire city of Moscow. Long ago, Russian princes and tsars resided here, but today it serves as the official residence of the Russian president. The word Kremlin in Russian means fortress or citadel. There are Kremlins in other ancient Russian cities. However, the Moscow Kremlin is the most well-known and a representation of the Russian state. The term Kremlin referred to a stronghold inside a city rather than the outer city wall. As a result, for the first 200 years of Moscow's existence, the stronghold at Moscow was referred to as the city. Later, as the town grew, more people began to reside outside the city wall. Only in 1331 was the Kremlin first mentioned in the records. The Kremlin wall at the time acted as a fortress and a separation between the prince's home and other parts of the city. Building a fort in the heart of a town used to be a regular practice. Numerous Russian cities had Kremlins, including Smolensk, Novgorod, Pskov, Astrakhan, Tobolsk, Kazan, Kolomna, and Zarysk. The following sites can be seen while touring the Kremlin grounds: Cathedral Square, home to some of the oldest churches in Moscow, Ivan the Great's Bell Tower, outside only, the Patriarch Chamber Museum, which features restored 17th century interiors and an intriguing collection of Patriarch's treasures, 3 main cathedrals from the late 15th to early 16th century, including a church of the Deposition of the Robe, the Tsar's Cannon, the biggest bell in the serene Tenitsky Garden has. Stunning views of Cathedral Square, the Moscow River, and a helipad built for Vladimir Putin to utilize. Yuri Gagarin planted an oak tree here, and you can see the presidential offices from outside. That is for now. We appreciate you being here. View more our channel videos.